Alright, you fucking heroes. The PC remaster of Turok Dinosaur Hunter is a solid speed game. It has everything from precise movement requirements and taxing tricks to glitches and exploits. Taking slightly more than half an hour for the best runners, the focus and dedication required to maintain this sort of top-tier performance can be exhausting. But there is an alternative. A shorter challenge, Turok Dinosaur Hunter's TimeTrial. A timed version of the training course. There's even an associated achievement, unlocked when you complete the time trial course under 2 minutes 45 seconds, appropriately titled Speedrunner. The training course aims to prepare the player for the challenges of the full game, teaching movement, jumping, swimming, climbing and sniping in order to raise platforms. It also teaches the player how easy it is to fall to your death in a pit, although all of the pits on this map just put you back on the course, like Lakitu. At first sight, it doesn't look like there's any challenge here. The course is pretty much a straight line, and an initial playthrough won't reveal many obvious time saves. Maybe this is why, on the 12th of February this year, the leaderboards look like this. Months since the last update, only 4 entries. This category needed some love. And it was going to get it from 2 directions at once. The world record at this time was 1 minute 49 seconds, a time achieved by SephJul, hope I'm pronouncing that right, on the 3rd of August last year, and it looked like this. Jumping on water is standard speed tech for Turok runs, as is holding down jump to climb vine walls more quickly. Now, using the game's unusual water physics, if done right, Turok can run across the surface here. Now this next vine wall, it's possible to clip all the way to the top, leading to the tightrope, a section requiring precise movement. Timing this right means only one of these men has to die. And now we have the water drop. Another peculiarity of this game's bodies of water, because the water doesn't quite stretch all the way to the edge, there is a small area where Turok can fall all the way to the bottom without having to slowly swim all the way down. The swim up, however, doesn't seem to have any shortcuts. Now, once these pillars have risen high enough, Turok is into the caves. Now this section is supposed to be a maze, requiring the map for navigation, but if you've familiarised yourself with the route, then you know it's just left, right, right, left, right, left, A, B, start, and you're through. Now the final sniping area comes next, and the fastest and least violent route only requires the death of 2 men. Now, once the final column is fully risen, it's just a run along to the left, over these oscillating pillars to hit the bottom, which lowers the gate to the right of the fork. It's now a test of patience as the slowest gate in the game lowers. Want to get over it? Tough shit. Finally.
Oh my god, yes!
A great time, with all the major tricks of the course incorporated. Good job, SephJul. But, whilst this record grew old, with an in-game timer and the brevity of the run, the lure was inescapable. Around this time, there were 2 new contenders stepping up to the challenge. JesuhsarusRex, a stranger so far to the Turok leaderboards, and Hypocaust, a runner just finding his legs in any percent. It was JesuhsarusRex who was first to hit the ground running. By the time this video was captured on the 13th of February, he'd already achieved a top 4 time. Sadly, the audio doesn't survive, but his mute celebration exemplifies the feelings of achievement speedrunning can give. Over the next 24 hours, fueled by beer and a taste of how addictive speedrunning can be, JesuhsarusRex whittled his time down, getting closer and closer to sub 2 minutes. Until this happened.
Oh fuck, guys, this is it. Guys, this is fucking it. We're sub 2. We're fucking sub 2.
Such a brilliant reaction. Nice run, JesuhsarusRex. And what of Hypocaust, the other, more seasoned runner who had his eye on that leaderboard? Having the advantage of being more familiar with the game was to pay off big time. At almost exactly the same time as JesuhsarusRex was smashing the 2-minute boundary, Hypocaust got this run. But he was just getting started. Given the mistakes he'd made in the 155, he knew that he could do better. All he needed was that one perfect run, where the dice fall in his favour and everything works like he knows it can. With every failed run and botched trick, that perfect run felt more and more elusive. With every run that survived a heavy reset point, that's when it felt like this could be it. And then, after hours of grind, this happened. 149. Fuck yeah. Oh, that was good. Oh, that felt good. 1 minute 49 seconds. An equal world record. But it wasn't enough. Mistakes had been made. This wasn't the perfect run. He knew a lower time was within his grasp. He just had to work for it. $149, a second time. A third. Even 148 wasn't good enough. How much time did this waste? This could have been much faster. Why the pause before killing this guy? Was this jump too late? He was closing in on his limit with these strategies. And, after 48 hours, on the 15th of February, he achieved this run. One minute and 47 seconds. An untied world record that sated the hunger. For a while. With the leaderboards now looking like this, you might think that that would be a satisfying result for Hypocaust. But in a post to the internet, he said this.
It's weird. You have the incredible feeling of having achieved something you've worked at for ages, of being the best at something, and that's an amazing feeling. But you also realise that you've just made yourself the biggest target out there. Being faster than everyone else is great, but knowing that you can do better and haven't yet, it's going to eat away at you. And that's what happened.
It was whilst he was experimenting with the game to aid his any percent runs a couple of weeks later that Hypocaust discovered something very interesting regarding how Turok moved through water. The standard speed tech for optimal swimming is to strafe, but to briefly release the forward button in a very specific rhythm. Here, Pale, a top tier runner, demonstrates this. It gives Turok a boost every time the forward button is pressed anew, whilst maintaining momentum. Do it out of this rhythm, and your forward speed is badly affected. This was a technique already practiced by all the runners of this category, but what Hypocaust realised had him kicking himself, as exemplified in this quote, published online.
I'd been running this game for the better half of a year, and was first introduced to the franchise over 20 years ago, so it came as a bit of a surprise to realise that I'd been missing a core mechanic all this time. And not only that, the game itself had been trying to tell me this very thing every time I played through the level.
What had he missed about Turok's swimming mechanics? The jump key will make Turok surface. Instead of just looking up and pumping the forward key, holding down the jump key adds to this upward speed.
It was such a facepalm moment. As soon as I realised I could surface faster in the game, the first thing I thought of was the TimeTrial course.
On the 28th of February, with this newfound knowledge, Hypocaust booted up the game, and within half an hour, he secured this run. One minute 44 seconds. 3 seconds off his personal best, 5 seconds clear of SephJul on the leaderboard. A new gold standard had been set, but Hypocaust's words,
You've just made yourself the biggest target out there,
were to be prophetic. The record had been creeping down since the start of the year. 109 seconds, 108, 107, now 104. The race to the 100-second barrier had begun. In the description to his last video, Hypocaust wrote,
Take this with a pinch of salt, but I'm going to say that a 142 is just about possible with these strats.
The gauntlet had been thrown down in that one statement. Was the 142 possible? And if it was, who was going to step forward and claim it? As with JesuhsarusRex, the next challenger to make their name in the annals of speedrunning was to be a newcomer to the Turok leaderboards. Not only that, a newcomer to the game. Gnome, without even having tried the single-player campaign, found the TimeTrial course, and as with those before him, he was hooked.
We got it. Hell yeah.
The speedrunner achievement planted the seed.
That would be really fun to speedrun. There's gotta be like just the time trial speedrun.
But Gnome's focus and dedication was the light in which it needed to grow. In the long hours that followed, he researched and experimented, conquering one trick after another, until he knew exactly what he needed to do. And, using that knowledge, it all came together on this run. "103 seconds, an unequaled world record and a fantastic run. But it wasn't the 142 that Hypocaust had claimed was possible, and Gnome knew that he could do it. He just needed it all to go right. The perfect run. On the 5th of April, with a determination born of self-confidence, Gnome did this. Minute 41, 101 seconds. I think Hypocaust says it best in this web post.
It was an inspiring run to watch. The fluid movement, that boost at the bottom of the water drop, and he looked so relaxed all the way through. It was a masterclass.
Inspiring it certainly was, and there was only one goal worth going for. 100 seconds. It was during another one of Hypocaust's practice sessions, whilst trying to gain the edge he needed to cut 3 seconds from his personal best, that he made another time-saving discovery that, at first, didn't seem important. You can jump onto this pillar, and there's not a thing this guy can do about it. How does this help? The standard technique here is to snipe this guy as Turok jumps to the second pillar. Once this pillar has risen enough to give a clear shot, Turok can snipe this guy and jump across to the rising pillar that his death triggers. As soon as that pillar has risen high enough, it's just a small jump to here, and you're away. But jumping next to this guy means that Turok is already at the right height to have a clear shot at this guy, without waiting. If the shot is taken as Turok is jumping to this third pillar, then there's just enough time to make it to the rising fourth pillar. It's not straightforward. You're having to land on quite a small target that's in your blind spot, and immediately following it by another rather precise jump, the timing of which is very tight. but it's possible, and it's faster. So, with a new strategy and a new target, on the 15th of April 2020, Hypocaust uploaded this run. Did it. 100 seconds flat. The record was his again, and any improvements from here would start pushing double digits. But was that enough for Hypocaust? Not by a long way. Much like Hypo's prediction of the 142, Gnome had written in the description of his run, Hypo said to take his 142 with a pinch of salt, but I'm going to pour out the entire bag and see how 138 might be possible. Whilst he had his doubts that the old strats could be stretched that far, what about this new technique with the sniper's pillar? 140 again, and again, and again, and again. He needed something else, and with a bit more experimentation, he found it. As with the other rising pillar section, here, instead of jumping directly to the third pillar, you can also jump onto this guy's pillar before jumping off. To show how two jumps can be better than one, some arrows need to be drawn. The standard strat is for Turok to jump shortly after leaving this ledge, sniping this guy in midair, which gives him just enough distance to reach the last pillar as it begins to rise. The sooner this guy is sniped, the sooner the final pillar begins to rise, and the sooner Turok can exit through the portal. But if you shoot too soon, the pillar rises too high for Turok to make the jump. How does landing on this guy's pillar help? Turok falls in a parabolic curve, in accordance with gravity, which means that towards the end of the jump, Turok is falling a long way to gain a small amount of horizontal movement as compared to the start of the jump. By landing on this pillar and then jumping again, Turok's downward velocity is reset, meaning that he can reach the area of the third pillar at a higher point. So, when sniping this guy sooner, Turok can still make the final pillar and escape through the portal faster. But would it be enough for Gnome's predicted 138? Hypocaust was sure it was. He just needed that perfect run. He would accept no mistakes. Any deviation from the highest level of performance demanded a reset. He made attempt after attempt, focused on only one thing. Every reset just making him more determined. The first 99-second run came and went on the 19th of April with no fanfare. It wasn't the 138, and that was the only thing Hypocaust would accept. 4 more 99-second runs over the next 2 days just seemed to taunt him. He could see time losses everywhere when looking back at them, but he could also see how close the fabled 138 was. And then, on the 21st of April 2020, at 7:34 in the evening, Hypocaust began this run. 98 seconds, the 138, Gnome had predicted it was possible and Hypocaust had proven him right. And that's where the record stands at the time of publishing this video. And you might think that's where the story ends. But the story's never really over. Even in the last few days, a new name has appeared on the leaderboards. And in the coming months and years, who knows? But the race to double digits will forever be remembered as a golden age for the Turok TimeTrial course.